Well, here we go. We're streaming now, Sean. Don't even worry about it. I think it's working. My audio is always the question of the day on whether or not it's working. I think it is, though. Okay, everyone, welcome to the stream. So, it's Valentine's Day, so I'm sure all of you guys are out with your girlfriends or boyfriends or whoever you're with this Valentine's Day. And your wives or husbands or brothers or sisters or just whoever you were with. So there probably won't be too many people. That's all right, though. We'll throw this up on YouTube as we always do, and you guys can check it out later. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the GDC and what we've been working on this last week, as well as... So I guess we've had to do a lot with the GDC, right? Because we're going to the Game Developers Conference at the first week of March, and we've had to get a lot of stuff ready there. So that's why, and I explained this on the forums, but that's a little bit why I wasn't able to... That's why we weren't able to get our update out when we wanted to. But that's okay, because we have some good stuff for the update. I'm going to show you a little something that I've been working on. It probably won't be out. Yeah, I'll show you. It's still a little rough, and you'll be able to see it, but it's still a little rough around the edges as far as like... I put a new spell into the game, and the spell has a few little quirks to it. I'll show them to you. If the game crashes, I don't think it'll crash. I've been testing it today. I don't think it'll crash, but it will probably not work. But I'll show it to you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why the spell is important, because it's kind of the next step in adding spells to our game. And I want to talk a little bit more about what spells are, where we're going with spells. So I'll just get this guy. We'll do this quest. But anyway, I also have the navigation area disabled for testing on this as well. But anyway, I'll talk about this spell here. So if you guys have any question, me and my girl watching your stream together. Yeah, I do feel special if you're bringing your girlfriend to watch my stream. She probably won't be your girlfriend for very long. Anyway, all right, so the spell that we've been working on is Fireball. So here it is. I'm holding my Fireball. You hold it down. And while you have it charged up, I'm still holding the button down to cast it. And while I have it charged up, he holds it and I can aim. And when I release it, he throws the fireball. So that's it. That's basically the that's the behavior that we've got here. Now you'll notice that it's not like other fireballs in the game. In games. Yeah, it dominated that guy. And that's actually, you kind of saw, whether you know it or not, that's actually one of the bugs that I'm working on. But my fists do 60 damage. Yeah, you've been training him really well. You could probably own anybody with those. We need to balance it. Remind me to tell you about balancing. But let me first talk about spells. So in a lot of games, the fireball spell is this like slow-moving projection that just sort of like continues from here to, you know, wherever you're going, like in a straight line, and it just sort of moves slow and then blows up whatever it hits. And that's kind of not very interesting, but it's also kind of too powerful. And the reason why we had... See, and there's another bug, is it wasn't doing that earlier today, but it like has like a minimum range on it now. If it goes too far away from me, it just dies, so don't ask me why. I think I might know why. I can look into it. But anyway... behavior is still a little, we're working out the bugs. It's been, see, like that one kind of got thrown jankily to the left. It was looking a little better than this earlier today, but it's still working. I'll get it working out pretty good by the end of the day. I had to make a big change to fix some crashes that were occurring, and so that's a little bit why it is acting funny. So like there's a pretty good one. You can see it does damage in an area. Kind of lights them on fire. Lights things on fire that it gets close to as well. If I get too close to the statue. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, why this spell is important is because it's important because balancing spells is really it's something that you need to take care to do correctly. If you have a spell like our arc spell right now, it might even get changed with how it behaves, because like it doesn't. It's kind of a spell that can just fly off into infinity is a little too powerful, I think. Like it. Granted, it only does 5 damage. It's a little too much. Like, that's just too good. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like, it's not. This is not too good because it has a maximum range, but you don't want something to. You don't want something to be like too powerful, and so a throwing trajectory is actually a good way to balance things, because it kind of shows, or it kind of helps you to limit the range of what you're doing, and it kind of helps you, I don't know. It's important, I think, to make sure that you have a good like I hooked that one to the right pretty bad. Anyway, so I know, yeah, that's kind of, maybe you don't really mind or care about what I'm saying, but it is important, and the whole notion of throwing things is going to be something that we are going to take into account. Like, throwing is getting added into the game really soon, I guess, is the bottom line here. One neat thing about this spell right now is that it does so much, like, it lights your path as well, which is super neat. Like, you can see it as I throw it, it like causes the area to light up and explodes. It's pretty fantastic looking. Yeah, you can use the fireball like a torch. And see, I don't know why. Like last night when I was working on it, I changed something, so now it's not exploding if it goes too far away from me. But, oh well. So yeah, and I also don't have it costing Ichor right now for testing purposes, but it'll be balanced as far as like, I'll need to make it so that it costs an appropriate amount of Ichor for how long it takes to cast, how much damage it does, all that good stuff. But I'm getting close. I will have this working not that long, and by the time you guys get your hands on it in an update or two, it'll be awesome. You guys will love it. It'll be a really fun spell. We're also working on getting things that can stack in your inventory, like rocks and other stackable things, and that'll be cool because, like, there's a lot of things that you will want to. Well, a lot of things will stack, right? Like, we're probably going to add throwing daggers in pretty soon as well. And that will be cool because then you could have another ranged weapon. We're going to start moving slowly towards getting ranged weapons in the game. That's kind of what this means. I guess this is one way to put it. So, luckily, the short range thing is blowing up. You like how the embers kind of hang in the air, so it's pretty fun. I know you guys can't play it right now, but it is really fun. It feels really good to throw it and to blow people up with it. It's a really fun spell. And there's another spell that I need to get in that I kind of showed you guys earlier as well. It was like a javelin made out of ice, and that will probably be the next one that I put in after I get this one all hammered out. It's a little frustrating with some of these bugs because we haven't done things like quite like this before, so just been working through it, but I'll get it, and it'll be really good. So what is the future of spells, and what are some of our spell philosophy designs? That's kind of what I wanted to talk about with the fireball. So, like, as you can see, this fireball, it has some limitations to it. You cannot, you can't throw it forever far away. Some spells will have a really long range on them, but the range on this is limited. So when you're talking about it, it's like you got to talk about a few different parameters of the spell, right? There's like the range is one of them, the damage is one of them, the Ichor cost is one of them, and there's a ton of them. Like, and that sort of determines the behavior, the casting method, the charge up time. There's a lot, and even the more that you introduce, in a way, the better, because it means you can have your spells be more varied and more interesting, and you could create spells that are right in one situation and wrong in another situation. And that's really what we want to do, is make an interesting, dynamic, one reviewer put it this way, an asymmetrical system. And what he meant by that was it's a system that it's a system that, like, just because my spell is a fire spell, it's red and it does 20 damage, and then the ice spell is just the exact same thing, but it's just blue. It doesn't actually do anything differently. And so we want all spells and like schools of spells to be different. And that's something that we're working on as well. And it means that we'll just have a really interesting and super, like, dynamic spell system. One that will require the player to, think about what spells feel good for them to use and which ones that they want to use for the situation. And every spell will be a little bit different. Every new spell that we add will contribute something slightly unique that it'll create something unique that no other spell adds. Even if it's just a little bit unique, it still is something, if that makes sense. Like, no two spells are identical. And that's what we're going for with our like, our spells and things that we want to do. Make them all unique, make them different, but make it balanced so that, every single spell has a use, has a purpose, and a place for it to be used at a certain place and time, and it does a certain thing. But don't make them all just different colors, and that's the only thing that's different. Make them all have varied in their functionality a lot, and that's something that we're working on. So this throwing thing, like, there will be a lot of different spells that are thrown, for instance, but not all of them will explode like that and do damage in an area. Some of them might, like, for instance, another spell that I need to add is it's called what's it called? Flare, and it's another fire spell, and you throw it sort of like this one, except what it does is not blow up when it hits the ground. It remains on the ground, or whatever it hits, it remains, and it just sort of lights the area around you. It causes a light. And the main purpose of Flare is to light your area, light your way. And it'll have other uses as well. But it's a light spell. It's not necessarily a damage spell. It's a functionality spell. And in really dark dungeons and in caves and at nighttime, when we, adjust all that, light spells will be really required. And they might even be better to have a light spell than a torch, because a torch might take up a hand slot or whatever. So, if that makes sense. A lot of different spells for a lot of different behaviors, and that's something that we're going to want to do. So kind of some things that we're going to be doing in the future is we're going to be adding in, I'm going to be working pretty much exclusively on spells, and I really want to get a lot of good ones in. Once I get a lot of the things that I have, once this fireball spell is one of the harder types of spells, just for the way it works. It has some interesting requirements for the way it works. And so once I get all of this figured out, then, excuse me, I had like the hiccups. Once I get it figured out, then a lot of the subsequent spells that we need to make will be a lot more, they'll come in a lot easier. And the spell system, that way we've implemented in code, is really good. So it allows us to add new spells really easily and define their behavior to be really like anything that we want. So that's good. It means that we can have some really good varied spells. And that's what we want. I think that's an important part of making the game, because I don't know. I think a lot of games, they don't really make, all their spells are kind of the same. And that's what we definitely don't want. We want them to be balanced and different. So anyway, so spells, I'm excited about it. Other things that we've been working on, this next update, and it's this map that I'm using right now, actually. You may notice it might not come through very well on YouTube, because I think the software that records this isn't very good, but the stream, you'll notice that the quality is a lot better on the stream. And I think I got like almost 15 frames. In some areas I get 15 frames more based on some of the updates or some of the things that we've done. And I think I mentioned that last week. But pretty much there's a huge optimization coming out, so people who weren't able to get very good frames, they will now. Or you might be able to bump up your system spec. Like if you were running it on, medium before you might be able to bump it up to high and maintain a lot of good frames there. So that's a big one. The tree boss is getting really close. We want to get him out soon. We had to put off, like I said, working on pretty much all of this because of the GDC. We had to get like screenshots and videos, and we had to do videos in such a way that sort of like have made it really a big pain. So those are all done now, and we had to get like logos and answer some questions and do all this kind of stuff. So it kind of took a ton of time. What's up, Chunky Plumpy? But anyway, the performance boost is going to be huge. There's also been a lot of work done, as I said before, on the tree boss. He's getting close to being implemented. He is going to be a lot funner. Before, he just threw rocks at you constantly. That's all he did, was just chuck rocks at you over and over and over. And that is not going to be the case. He's going to be a lot more interesting now. He's going to be a lot more fun to fight. So, yeah, it's good. This spell, so one of the bugs on this spell, you'll probably see that it's doing tons and tons of damage. One of the things is I was having difficulty removing the spell, like removing the entity on collision. I was working between a couple of different files, classes in C++, and they weren't communicating really well. So I've had to, this morning I was in the process of like doing it a better way, a safer way. I was also getting crashes. And so now it doesn't quite detect the collision. Like, it can hit him like 4 or 5 times, if that makes sense, when I throw it. That's why it's like he hit him twice, just barely. But if it like hits the ground, it detects ground hits really well, so it'll only hit him once, but it'll still kill me. But anyway, that's some of the things we've been working on. That spell will be a really good one to add when it comes out. And probably it won't come out with this update because I'm going to add in more spells, not just this one, if that makes sense. I want to get this one working really well, working exactly like I want it in every way. And after it works perfectly, then I will use what I learned from making this one, and I will make more, and they will go quicker. So hopefully when the spell update comes out, hopefully we can get it before the GDC, which is in like 2 or 3 weeks. 2 weeks, actually. Holy cow, that's coming quick. And we can probably get this out. I can get this fireball spell out in 2 weeks. But we are going to have to do some more work for the GDC. We're going to have to get a specific build of our game ready so that the people who are there won't have to just like, we'll probably have it so they can get right into the action. They won't have to go up through the quest lines and things like that. We'll get them right into the action really soon. So that's good. Now, I wanted to talk about how one of the guys on the chat said that he got his punching damage up to like 60 per hit, and that's huge. So after the GDC, after we get back, we've already talked about it, we need to do a balancing patch. And we're going to add in, what we want to do is add in like one type of all the different weapon types that we have planned for now. So like, we're going to make a steel weapon set or an iron weapon set that's not like any of the weapons that you see now, but we're going to have like an iron sword, an iron spear, an iron mace, an iron two-handed sword. Basically an iron version of all the different weapons that we want in the game. And we will those will be like our baseline. It's still in alpha. And this baseline will help us balance the weapons, like how much damage they do, how much damage the enemies do, how much life you have, how much life your enemies have, staggering enemies, like how many times you have to hit them to be staggered. We're going to make enemies that are harder and easier so that, like, just in general, the game will be more balanced. Like, right now it's probably a little too hard right when you start the game. You need to, yeah, it's too hard. So we're going to do all that kind of balancing. And with that is also going to come balancing the spells and all that kind of stuff, and how good you get at your sword, like how much damage you do with your fists and with your swords, and how getting levels up and getting new equipment affects that, and how you get better, and how quickly you get better, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be a balancing patch that we're going to focus on, probably right after the GDC. That's what we want to get done. So that'll look for that in March. And it might take a little while to get that one in, but that one's pretty important for us. So, balancing patch. Because right now, getting to do 60 damage per punch is dumb. And I think that unarmed is going to be more interesting than just punching. It's going to be different things. Like, having unarmed hands is going to be like, it's going to be the way to get and do things that you can't do any other ways. Like, probably it'll help you get, like... See, that was pretty fun. Blew up those 3 guys all at once. But anyway, unarmed attacking will be, like... it'll be things like disarming people, tripping people, getting them onto the ground. It probably won't be, like, high damage output right away or at all, ever, but it will be, like, controlling your enemy, doing things to them that you probably can't do as easily with a weapon, if that makes sense. So not just like raw 60 damage. Yeah, neck snap move, exactly, things like that. Anyway, if that makes sense. So it'll be a little different than it currently is. One of these guys dropped a green and it like fell through the bridge. It's floating. A helmet. I don't want that. So, balancing patch. Tree boss. Not a lot to say this week just because we had a lot going on with other things getting ready. But I did get the spell worked on that. There is still a lot, like a lot gets done every day, but not a lot of it can make it into an update very fast. But I do think that you guys will really like the update when it comes out. It'll add a lot of content into the game. And we even have more content to add after the update. Like, there's a lot there. We're kind of in a place where we have a lot of content in a lot of different areas. And when the updates do start coming, they'll come pretty fast. So a lot of stuff has been getting done. It just hasn't been making it out to the updates. And so, sorry about that, because I know that getting those updates is nice, but this next one will be a little better than most. And it'll probably mean that the next several will be better than most, just because there's more update stuff to do, or there's more content to put into an update. Let's see. There's a lot of content that's being done that won't make it in a lot of work that's being done that won't make it into this next update, but will make it into the one after that or the one after that. So the next several updates will be really good when they come out. That's what I'm trying to say. Just not doing a very good job at saying it. So a lot of it too is I don't have it on my computer. Like, the tree boss is already looking really good. He's already pretty fun to fight, but kind of like the fireball spell, like, it's pretty fun to throw already. It's just not quite there, and that's how the tree boss is. But with a few more days of work, he will be there. So hopefully early next week sometime we can get him in. The iCore changes will come in at that time as well. And then pretty soon we'll have the fireball and ice javelin in. Just things like that. It's all coming down the line. The new area that you guys have seen a little bit of is going to be in... Our goal for that is, like... That won't be till after the March, probably. Sometime in March, or maybe even in April. But a lot of it has been done. You probably won't be able to neck snap the tree boss. He's too tough. Blocking only makes it worse. So, anyway, a lot of good stuff coming. It's going to be fun. I am going to figure out why this fireball... I had it so that when it would go over there, you could watch it explode in the distance. I don't know why it's doing that now, but I will figure it out. So don't you worry about it, guys. I will figure this out, and it's going to work. So anyway, aside from all of the neck snapping questions, if you guys have any other questions, you can let me know. Yeah, I think some really good stuff is coming. The game's going to start coming together pretty good in the next month. Over the next month or two, it's going to start feeling a lot better. And that's good because I think we're going to start getting a little more attention from the press and from other people. The GDC is going to be a big deal. And yeah, I think it'll be good. So hopefully you guys like it. You got the real-time shadows going on. Looks like real life. It looks like I'm at scout camp dancing around the fire. All right, guys. Well, I will put this video up on YouTube since I know there's a lot of people who did want to see it but were unable to make it today. Have a very happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully you're looking forward to this fireball. It's coming out soon, so you can throw it at your enemies and then destroy them. Anyway, all right, guys. You guys have a good day, and we will see you for sure. We'll see you next week. See you then.